You are listening to the Edtech Takeout from Grantwood AEA, an educational service agency that supports school districts in eastern Iowa with a focus on equity, excellence, and efficiency in education for all children.
Welcome to the Edtech Takeout. My name is Mindy Carney. And in the blue corner, weighing in at 180 pounds with a record of 12 wins from 12 amazing episodes from Glasgow, Scotland, it's the Prince of Podcasts, Jonathan Wiley!
Woo! I like that, Mindy. That was fun.
Oh, it was fun for one of us, for sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too, though. So I think we should do more of these types of introductions.
You do, or we just specially recognize you on the introduction?
Well, I think it's only fair we take turns. So,
Yes.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, whatever works best for you next week would be fun. But adds a bit of spice to the podcast.
It does. I like this idea.
Yeah, I just hope we have enough inspiration to keep it going for more than 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, my brain is already spinning thinking about it.
Okay, so we are back. We don't really have anything to talk about from last episode, do we? Because last episode was just like a catch-up summer review type of thing, so no follow-up really to speak of.
Right, I don't think so. I think we probably just hop right in and get started on our hot topic for today.
Okay, so hot topic for today is one that comes up a lot. It's one that comes up year after year, I think, on different times with different research and different people saying different things, and that is screen time.
Screen time. How much is too much?
Depends who you ask, I think, doesn't it?
It does. I always have my opinions about things, and so I looked up some research just to see what was being said about screen time. And research, you can make research say whatever you want it to say. So I think some of the stuff I read, I think really made me think as an adult, the amount of screen time that I have and how much is too much. And then from there, it kind of trickles down to students and to my own kids. And it made me kind of think about our screen time policy at our house. Do you guys have a screen time policy at your house, Jonathan?
We don't have anything official, but, between the two of us, my wife and I, we police it as much as we can. I think, you and I were talking about this earlier, but like on school days, there's not really a whole lot of time for them to have screen time. By screens, we're including TVs, iPads, whatever, basically, but there's not a whole lot of time for them to do that during the week. And especially in these summer months, we really encourage them just to go outside and play and enjoy the weather while we can, because here in Iowa, our winters are dark and cold, and we don't get outside very much.
Right. Yeah, we this summer we've never tried. Well, we've tried not to do a ton of screen time in our house, but on the weekends we always kind of let our kids have. That's when their screen time was, so we didn't do any during the week, and then only allow screen times on the weekends. And so, one thing I noticed about my kids when they were getting a lot more screen time on the weekends, where it was a little bit more unsupervised, is that I did notice them getting kind of like growly and crabby when they had to get off the devices. And
yeah, for sure.
I just thought so this isn't working. I need to think of something else. And so for the summer, the only way my kids got screen time is after a checklist of things. So they had to finish up their chores, of course, first. And then from there, we had like a little maker spot in our house where they could grab stuff to make something, or they could do Legos. They had to write or color. And I made my list long enough that for the most part, my kids never really got through their list. And so we really, surprisingly, minus a little bit of TV here and there, were like screen free for the summer.
Good for you, Mindy.
I know.
I think it's getting harder for parents partly because of schools, and I'm going to qualify that statement in a bit because, with more and more schools going one-to-one, then, kids are potentially getting a lot of screen time at school.
Right.
And the kind of things that they're doing at school are not always going to be what they would choose to do if they had screen time of their own, like free choice screen time, because they're working on schoolwork or they're doing assignments or they're doing things that they're having to do to keep up at school. But then when they go home, they might want to, hey, I'd like to check my social media. I'd like to, play with this game or play on that game. And, then that just adds to the screen time they've had during the day.
Right.
So, yeah, I read an article by a blog post by George Couros recently, I think, that summed up a lot of what I think a modern approach to this might be. And that's he entitled it Quality versus Quantity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think about students, and in my classroom, I was trying to go as paperless as possible with still knowing in my head, like, kids still need to draw with markers and crayons and things like that.
Oh,
we
yeah,
took a lot of pictures of those things, but I do think that when you're using technology, it really needs to be meaningful, and there needs to be a reason why you're using it. And that's why in my classroom, I got rid of a lot of like the math games or like practice games, things like that, just because I felt like they weren't meaningful activities for my students. We did a lot more creation apps. So I think too, even as teachers, we really need to look at what technology our students are using and making sure that the technology they're using, the reason we're using it is because without it, we couldn't be doing that. Does that make sense? Kind of talk myself in a circle.
I mean, it's like talking about like a passive use of technology versus an active use of technology.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I think I saw this example somewhere where it was like, you could sit your kid in front of the TV and let them watch Sesame Street and they would probably get something out of it, but it's a fairly passive experience in terms of how they interact with it. But if you sit down with them and you're like, oh, what else? What else do we know that's the color orange or whatever? And we're looking around the room and we're talking and we're interacting with them and making them think a little bit deeper about what they're watching, then that's a more active use of that screen time. So, yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that the American Academy of Pediatrics were saying a few years back that kids under 2 shouldn't watch any screens at all. And now they're coming out and revising that a little bit and saying, well, it just depends on what they're doing and trying to keep a balance. I think a balance is the key here.
Yeah. Well, and I think I told you about this. I saw this article on Facebook that someone had posted about how your brain using technology looks the same as someone who's addicted to cocaine and how the brains look the same. And to me, I don't feel like it's the same thing because, just because I think being addicted to cocaine is a little bit of a different thing. But if you're seeing changes in your students or seeing changes in your children that make you think like something with how they're interacting with this technology is changing their personality or changing their attitude about things, using your common sense as far as, we need to reevaluate how we're using technology or how much screen time my students are getting or my kids are getting. It's all about common sense and balance. So you have to be kind of watchful and thoughtful about the use. So
yeah, and there's absolutely a danger of technology being used in order to promote a more antisocial behavior among our kids. But I think at the same time we have to remember that, particularly teenagers today, I mean that's probably one of the biggest ways that they do communicate when they're not face to face with people. They're still learning communication and getting in contact with their friends, and they're using the technology for that. So, I mean, yeah, it's a balance type of thing. There's that image that you'll see every so often on social media of everybody sat on a train with a newspaper. Nobody's talking to anybody. Nobody's looking at the next person, and they're all just staring at their newspapers. And that's in the age before screens, but have we just replaced our newspapers with phones and things like that? I don't know.
Right.
So.
Well, and I had read something too about the fact that teenagers do use technology so much, and how much time they spend on social media maybe isn't as much as we think it is. And then in fact, girls are on social media more than boys are, but what they really like to use their technology for is like listening to music and watching, Netflix. But that teenagers crave so much social interaction that, in fact, they're probably having more social interaction now than they were previously because they're constantly connected to one another. And maybe it is fulfilling more of that than what previously they were getting, but it's still just a different kind of social interaction. And I think you shared that really cool video that's called Look Up, and it talks a little bit more about finding ways to interact with one another, not through a screen. So, I don't know.
Yeah, so screen time, not evil,
No.
but be mindful of, how much your kids are, getting exposed to it. I mean, if you're like a middle school teacher and you're always use the computers, but, well, maybe in another class they're always using the computers, in another class they're always using computers, but then at home, what do they do with it? So, yeah, as proponents of technology and the ways that it can enhance teaching in the classroom, we would probably not come out and say that screen time is evil, but try and have a balanced approach.
Yeah. Find ways for kids to interact with one another, next to each other, problem solving, planning, interacting with one another, and still using the technology.
Perfect.
We've solved the world problem.
Well,
the discussion can now end.
Let's hope so.
All right, so up next, our main course, served piping hot, is student blogging platforms.
Yeah, this is a good one. I think this is something I get asked about quite a lot. We're doing a class with some teachers in the Grantwood area here called the Digital Learning Institute, and we're getting the teachers to blog about their experiences in that class and use it as a reflective tool. But the question quickly came up as to, hey, I'd like to do blogging with my kids. What are my options? So we're going to look at some of those options today and talk about, why blogging is an important thing for kids to experience.
So, I think blogging is really important in a classroom. It gives students kind of the opportunity to reflect on their learning and explain their learning. And we know that students that explain their learning often deepen their understanding of a concept.
Yeah, and I saw this somewhere. I wish I could remember the exact way that it was said because it just popped into my head. But, the difference between when students are producing a piece of writing and if they do it for the teacher, because the teacher asked them to, then they make sure that it's good enough, all right? But if they're having to do it so that their peers can read it, or their parents are going to read it, or other teachers are going to read it, or other students around the world are going to read it, then that kind of ups their game a little bit, and they actually try a little bit harder, and they realize, whoa, okay, so it's not just my teacher, because after a while, the kids get to know, what's the minimum standard that this teacher will accept before they send it back to me. Yeah, I mean, you always have some kids that will try and try that out. What's the minimum they're going to accept? But if you're putting it online for a more authentic and a wider audience, then it gives them a bit more motivation as well in some of their writing.
Yeah, it raises the bar for sure.
Yeah, and we'll get to commenting and things like that later. But one of the things that people I think struggle a little bit with when they're blogging with kids is, how do you get other kids to read those blogs and to see them and make them visible and all that kind of thing? And I think one of the best ways I've seen is there's a hashtag going around on Twitter called Comments for Kids, and it's comments number 4 kids. And if you put that at the end of your tweet and say something like, hey, my class just wrote some blog posts, they'd love some comments, please, if you get a minute, drop by and do that. And they put hashtag comments for kids on there. Then, that encourages teachers and other students or whoever that wants to go in, read some blog posts and leave some comments for kids. And, when I have some spare time and I see those things on Twitter, I do that. I think it's an awesome thing to do. I love to go on and see what amazing topics students are writing on. And I know the kids really appreciate the comments. So comments for kids hashtag is a great thing to have as part of your blogging toolkit.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about this topic today is that I get to talk about Seesaw again.
Wow, it's like we just managed to shoehorn in every opportunity to talk about Seesaw.
I know. I feel it seems silly to me to keep talking about Seesaw, but I mean,
it's one of those very
Seesaw.
flexible tools that has a lot of different options.
Yes.
So get in there, Mindy,
I know.
and tell us what are the blogging options with Seesaw?
So I feel like I've talked about the Seesaw blogging option before, like way back when they added this, probably, I don't know, maybe it was in the fall of last year. No, because I guess we started the podcast in January, so I've talked about it since then, but just a little bit more about the Seesaw blog. You obviously have to have a Seesaw account. You can have the free account. It's not a paid service or an extra with a paid subscription, so you can have it with your free account. You have to go in and enable the blog option within your settings, and it's just a little flip of the switch. It's no big deal. You get to choose your URL. I think you get to add in, like I would do, like Team Carney blog or something like that.
So the blogging thing is not on by default then? It's something you physically have to turn on?
It's not on by default,
okay.
Right. It's something you have to turn on. But it's quick. It takes like 30 seconds, which is super nice. And you can either password protect your blog or you can open it up so anyone with the link can see it. I don't know if you could just like Google Team Carney Seesaw blog and it would pop up on Google. But if you share the link, anybody can view it. So the way that the Seesaw blog works is that if you're not familiar with Seesaw, and if you listen to this podcast, I don't know how you're not, but if you are using Seesaw, any of the artifacts that your students put in can be posted to the blog just by them making the request. So there's just a little, once you enable the blog, underneath each artifact, there's like different options of things that you can do. You can share it, you can edit it, things like that. But there's a little blog button that pops up when you enable it, and students then can choose, like, this is something that I want to go on the blog. And so they would just tap that button, and then teachers have to approve, I believe, have to approve everything that goes to the blog. Students just can't post things on their own. And so then the teacher goes in and approves it, and then it just pops up on the blog. One thing is that with the blog post, students' first names and maybe their last initial, I think their last initial too, and then their profile picture. So if you're using actual pictures of your students, something to, be thoughtful of depending on what your school's policy is with, posting student pictures online and things like that.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Seesaw's primarily based around this kind of e-portfolio type idea. And so they pick something from their e-portfolio that they want to put on their blog. Is that right? And then they just pin that to their blog. Is that how that works?
Yeah, right. So, they're inputting pictures or video or audio, or so it could just be an artifact of their learning that they're posting, or they might use the text option and actually write a blog post about something that they've learned. Yeah. And then they just tap a button and it goes to the teacher. Hey, I'd like to put this on the blog, and she approves it, and it just goes straight to the blog.
So if they bring in something, I don't know, say like an image or something that they had on their portfolio side of things, can they then write some comments about it and say, this is what I did in art today. We were looking at this artist and this technique that they use, and, talk about it that way. Yeah,
they can. So with a picture, if they have a picture, they can do audio, they can do annotations, and they can do text as well, like a descriptor of, the picture. It's really nice.
Are there any limitations on the blogging side with the free platform versus the paid platform, or do you get access to all the same options?
Yep. Nope. The blog is just the blog. It's the same regardless of what kind of account you have. The other thing that's really nice with the blog is that Seesaw is really encouraging classrooms to connect their blogs to one another so that students can read other students' posts from different classrooms. And the really nice thing is that you connect those blogs, but so students can go to other classrooms' blogs within Seesaw. So there's not having to know a link or having to type something in or having anything bookmarked. It's all within the blog portion kind of for Seesaw. So they just click on the little button and then all of the blogs that your classroom is connected to show up there, and they can just tap on another classroom's name and it takes them straight to the blog so they can comment on it and read other students' blogs.
I like that. Have you heard of quad blogging before?
No, what's that?
It's something that this guy came out with, I think, and it's a system where like 4 classes get together, and it's over a 4-week period. They do some blogging, and each week there's like one like focus class, and so that class will create some blog posts and write about some things, and the other 3 classes will go in and visit and read them and comment on them and do things like that. And then on the next week, it kind of rotates around, and the second class does it, and then the other classes are kind of the supportive group, and then the third and the fourth. So I guess that's cool. Kind of similar to what Seesaw are thinking about with connecting other classes together, because I mean that is the hardest thing. I mean you can write a whole bunch of blog posts with your students, but if they think nobody's reading them, then they lose the motivation to write these things, for sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be really neat to kind of communicate with teachers from those other classrooms and be like, hey, do you want to work on a project together? Or, hey, we're learning about this. Do you want to learn about some different aspect of it? And then we'll create a bunch of blog posts to teach one another about different concepts. Or I don't know. I just think the possibilities are really endless when you're connecting your blog with another classroom. And you're right, that commenting on each other's really makes it much more authentic for kids.
All right.
So what about you? Oh, and mine's free. Did I say that?
I think we mentioned that once or twice.
Oh, yes. Okay, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Seesaw is great. Anything else you want to say on Seesaw, or are you happy to move on there?
No, I'll move on.
Do you want to talk about your affiliate link? Or
No, that's okay.
Okay. You'll just put that in the show notes?
Yes, I'll just put it in my show notes.
Okay.
Make sure you scan it. I want a hoodie.
All right. So another free-ish option for teachers to do student blogging is one that I actually did with my kids when I taught 4th grade. So this one's been around for a little while because I've been out of the classroom now for 5 years. This one is Weebly for Education. So there's a couple of sides to the Weebly site. So this isn't Weebly.com. This is the Weebly for Education that was specifically built for schools. And, you know, it's a really nice platform here because, you know, you could have your kids build websites or a blog or a website that has a blog or, you know, one or the other. And it's super nice because, you know, it does work on multiple platforms now. You can get apps for mobile devices and everything is drag and drop. So if you're thinking, I don't know if my kids could build a website or do a blog, it's as simple as you want to put some text in, you drag the text block over. You want to add an image, you drag the picture icon over and then you can add an image. You want to add a YouTube video, drag the YouTube element over. And it's just very simple and very easy to build and put together that way. The Weebly for Education account supports an unlimited number of blogs, but you get 40 for free, and you get full comment moderation, so you can moderate all those comments. You can have a really open blogs, you can have moderated ones, you can have really, you know, locked down private, closed conversation ones, and there's no advertising or anything else in there. So
okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you said that you as a teacher have the website, right?
Yeah, you kind of
Is it like an umbrella then? So then all of the students would have their own blog, but within that website, how does that work?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you get like a teacher dashboard so that when you log in, you see all your student websites and you can click on any of them at any time to view them. You can set it so all the comments come to you for moderation if you want. And so you get to see everything that's posted, whether it's appropriate or inappropriate, and make sure that doesn't appear on kids' websites if you don't want to see it. So that's a nice system.
Yeah, it is. It's very user-friendly. How young would you go with that? What's your recommendation?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know, with the right support or help, you could definitely do this from second grade upwards. You might be able to do it first graders and see how it goes. But yeah, it's just...
Well, if anything, you could set it up just as a teacher, and then the kids could just create a blog post and you could just copy and paste it for them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
absolutely.
If worse came to worse and it wasn't working out and you already had it set up, you're like, I'm going to hammer this out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did this for a couple of years with students, and
but you taught fourth graders and they did it, right?
Yeah, but I'm trying to. I did it with the free account as well, so that I told my kids we're going to do it for this year. When the next year's fourth grade comes in, I'm sorry, but I'm going to wipe out your accounts.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're going to do it again with the next students, because I only had like those 40 student accounts.
So you can't change ownership and like pass that blog on. So, but you could do that like within your school, right? And then set it up with like an account.
Yeah, I mean, they could
finagle that a little bit. Well, I'm just thinking you could set up your website under like a classroom email address, right? So you could do like class of 2000 at gwaa.org, and then that would be the account that it was signed up after, and then just continue to pass that email account along.
Very much, yeah. You could pass it on to the next teacher.
Yeah.
And just set up a new Weebly account with new students.
I don't know if that's breaking Weebly's rules, so I guess we should. I don't know if we can endorse that.
If people were to explore that option by themselves without the
endorsement of Grantwood AEA, let us know how it goes.
Yeah. However, there is currently a way that you could get more student accounts, and this is something I'm just going to get on my soapbox a little bit about this. I mean, I know nobody from Weebly is probably listening to this podcast, but I'm going to put it out there in case anybody knows anybody that works for Weebly, because if you sign up for Weebly for Education, I think they're bringing this program to an end from what I hear. You do get what's called an affiliate link, okay? So similar to Mindy's Seesaw link, if you sign up for Seesaw with Mindy's link, then you get something.
Yeah, but I just get a hoodie. Yeah,
but teachers get a benefit from that too, don't they?
Yes, they do.
So the idea with the Weebly link is, if you sign up, if I gave you my affiliate link for Weebly, then you signed up with that link, you would get an extra 10 student accounts, okay? And I would get $10 towards my Weebly Pro account, okay? So I wrote a blog post on this about, 3 years ago, and I basically said, look, I don't have kids in my class anymore. I'm working with Grant Wood, so I don't need this stuff, but if you want extra accounts and you want to sign up for Weebly, here's the link, sign up for it and get it. I'm not going to use any of the affiliate dollars or anything for pro accounts because I don't have any kids to use it with, so I didn't. And I kind of forgot about that, Mindy. And every so often I used to get these emails coming through saying, hey, so your friend has joined Weebly and yada yada, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I decided to check on it the other day, and I have over $1,000 in affiliate credit.
Your blog post must have went viral.
Well, I think it's just over time people have just clicked on it and stuff. So that means there's been like over 100 teachers or something.
100 times though. That's a lot.
Yeah. So 100 people have signed up for it through that link, and a Weebly Pro account is like $40. I mean, so $1,000 of over $1,000 of credit. I mean, that's like a lot of years of pro accounts that I'm not going to use on Weebly. So I mean,
maybe you should start blogs for your kids.
I could start blogs for my grandkids with all that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They've got a lifetime membership because
I know,
$1,000 goes a long way. Yeah.
So here's the thing. I wrote to Weebly and I said, hey, I don't teach in the classroom anymore. It would be awesome if I could just donate some of this credit to teachers so that they could purchase more student accounts and that they could use it, because I'm not going to use it.
Right.
And Weebly wrote back and they said, unfortunately, there is no way to transfer referral credit to accounts at this time. I know. So I was kind of disappointed. I mean, if anybody has any bright ideas for how I could use $1,000 of Weebly credit, which is really very excessive when the paid accounts are like $40, but yeah.
So it has to be an account signed up through your email address, because that money is tied to your Grantwood AA email address.
I don't know if it was my Grantwood email address or not, but it was whatever email address I used to sign up for the Weebly education account, which is probably changed over the years. I probably changed that email address, but yeah, it is what it is, I'm afraid. But if you want 10 extra Weebly accounts, then awesome. We'll put the link in the show notes. It's not going to do me any good either way for the referral credits, but maybe
let's go for $3,000 of unused money.
Yeah, there you go.
Jeez.
Send Weebly a tweet and say, wouldn't it be awesome if Jonathan Wiley...
Let Wiley just empty out his account and put it into mine.
There you go. Yeah, and get them all the good reasons why that would be awesome for you. And, it'd be awesome if I could just say, yeah, here's 30 free accounts for you. Here's 30 free accounts for you. And then,
You'd be like Oprah.
There you go. You get an account. You get an account. You get an account.
Oh, shoot.
So, yeah, I like Weebly. Weebly's awesome. We use it for the website that our podcast is kind of published on. We use it for our blog. We use it for all kinds of different stuff here at Grant Wood. So,
so user-friendly.
Yeah, we like Weebly, so we're happy to give them a shout-out. But, Come on.
Let the money go, Weebly.
Come on, Weebly. Do the right thing.
Come on, Weebly. Do the right thing.
Yeah.
All right, so... any other option? I mean, there are tons of different options out there, but any others worth mentioning? I mean, we really believe in Seesaw and we really believe in Weebly. So, but anything else out there? I used to use KidBlog.
I have used KidBlog too. It's one of those things that's gone over, it's changed over time. Because it used to be...
I haven't used it since it's been paid for.
Yeah, there's no free option anymore. It used to be it was free, and then it was free, and then there was a paid option for schools, and now it's all paid, isn't it?
Yeah, I think maybe teachers can get in for free, but then you pay for your student licenses or student subscriptions or whatever.
Yeah, and
I think you as a teacher can still get in for free, but
it's not all that expensive when you think about it. No. Really, I mean, it's $39 per teacher per year. Right. At the moment, they have a deal that's going on through September 30th. But, and I think pretty much inside of that, you get unlimited accounts. Yeah. There's a free trial for 30 days. You can go in and check it out and see how it works. But, yeah, I mean, they have to keep the lights on like everybody else. So
yeah, absolutely. I think our days of super free stuff are slowly going to go away.
Yeah. But it's a popular platform. Teachers have used it a lot. I think it's based off of WordPress, and they put some kind of skin over WordPress so that it's more user friendly for young kids to use. But if you haven't tried KidBlog or seen KidBlog, then it's kidblog.org. You can go there and check it out.
Sure. The other thing, I think I tossed this idea at you, and I think you looked at me kind of funny, but I think you could even do just like a Google Doc that's, just shared. So if you're not really interested in getting started in some sort of platform, you can still publish those Google Docs to the web or share links with parents and have kids just have a folder that's open, or the Google Doc is open and it's just like a continued running list of blog posts. But Google Docs, you can really make those look like web pages if you really mess with it enough, without too much effort. So I mean, that's a free, easy way too, if you're just looking to kind of get started. I don't think it's a bad option. You did give me a funny look when I suggested it, though.
It's just something I hadn't really considered before, but that's you, Mindy. You're one of those think outside the box people. So
I am.
Yeah, I think so. I think the nice thing about Google Docs is that the sharing options on there, so that if you really wanted, you could specifically only invite certain people and lock it down a little bit more, and so you've got a lot of the similar types of things on there. There is a commenting feature inside of Google Docs, so people will leave comments. It's not going to be in the same type of comments like a blog post where they're at the end, but it's just a different way of commenting. So I could see how that could work.
Yeah. Well, and even if you just want to get started and have students within your class commenting on each other's stuff, I mean, that's an easy way to do it too. I mean, it's all right. I don't know. It's just an idea.
And just off the top of my head, I mean, if you're not a Google Apps school, I think you could probably do some blogging along those lines in something like OneNote with Microsoft, for sure. And then, share that out with different people. I think that would be an interesting option too, because that's accessible on the web as well. So, and free. And we like free.
Yes, we do like free.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to bring this up because I was reading articles like, oh, what's something maybe I haven't thought of before? And I happened to look up, I found this article about using Tumblr.
Now that's one I would really roll my eyes at for sure.
So I was like reading the article. I'm like, this is interesting. Now, I am going to say that I had never been on Tumblr. It must be a generational thing. I don't know. But last spring, one of our teammates and I signed up for Tumblr together. We're like, we're going to really check this out, right? So I still don't really understand Tumblr because I haven't really been in there and kind of lived in the world. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back into Tumblr because I really haven't looked at it much. And what I will say is my Tumblr article or blog post was about colleges or universities using Tumblr as a blogging platform. I went into Tumblr and saw like 4 or 5 inappropriate things within the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the idea behind using Tumblr as a blog because you can use all sorts of media. And what I saw mostly were memes. Mm-hmm. And then people were kind of commenting underneath the memes, whatever. But I kind of thought, if you gave just the premise of Tumblr could be used somewhere else, maybe not necessarily in Tumblr, but giving kids a topic and then they can use whatever media they would like to react to that topic, even if it is memes or little clips of YouTube videos or GIFs or whatever, and then explaining why that meme was being used in reflection of that topic. And I thought, it's kind of a different way of expressing yourself. And it's how kids are communicating with each other these days. So I liked the idea of what the blog posts looked like in Tumblr, just not the content that I saw on Tumblr.
Yeah, I think it would be a use with caution type of deal.
My goodness.
I mean, in some ways it's comparable to something like YouTube, where, you could use it and there's a lot of good stuff on there, but at the same time there's bad stuff on there too that you didn't want people to see and access. But I would maybe suggest that Tumblr is a little bit worse than that, and that there's the balance of good versus evil is maybe not in your favor.
I am not recommending Tumblr for any school, K-12 for sure. But I think I kind of like the thought process behind using multimedia for reflection on a topic or something like that. It just kind of made me think, I had never thought about allowing students to use memes or whatever to show their opinion about something. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting.
I completely agree. And that would be, a good tactic to try with Weebly or Seesaw or KidBlog.
Yeah, you could put it somewhere else.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. All right. So that kind of rounds up our student blogging picks. If you have a platform or tool that you like to use for student blogging, please let us know. Podcast@gwaea.org is our email address. You can also find us on Twitter and let us know, because we'd certainly love to have more options and share options with people. So let us know what you're using.
So that takes us to my favorite part of the show, Tech Nuggets. And I went first last time, so your turn today, Mr. Wiley. Dr. Wiley.
Thanks for that. Yeah. So I see 4 things on this list here. Does that mean we have 2 each?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with one here. This one is called Podbay, and it's kind of a podcasting pick. Have you heard of this one before, Mindy?
No,
Podbay?
I've never heard of it.
All right, so somebody was asking me recently about podcasting in the classroom after something I tweeted, and they said, hey, my kids all have Chromebooks, so how can they listen to podcasts? And I was like, how can they? Because they don't have iTunes, they don't have other ways to go and listen to stuff. So podbay.fm is a website where you can go and you can search for a podcast and you can listen to it on the web. So I think that's kind of cool. I mean, so you could go to podbay.fm, type in the Edtech Takeout, and listen to episodes of the Edtech Takeout on any device that supports a web browser, presumably. So, very nice. They have Podbay for iPhone. They also have Podbay for Android. But, for schools that maybe, thinking about how can I get my kids listening to podcasts and sharing podcasts and talking about podcasts? If I assigned a podcast for homework for people to listen to, how could they listen to it on those devices? This could be a good option for them.
I'm not sure you're going to know the answer to this question, but does Podbay pull from iTunes or from Podbean? I mean, how does it get our podcast?
Podbay pulls from the RSS feed that each podcast has, I believe, and just puts it into the player.
Right. All right, so my turn.
Go for it.
Okay, so this one comes from Josh Allen, who I had the pleasure of meeting this summer at iPad U. Turns out he could be one of my favorite educators.
He's such a nice guy, isn't he?
He's such a nice guy. He's so fun.
Always got time for him.
Yeah. So check him out on Twitter if you don't know who he is. I'm not sure what his Twitter handle is, but I'll put it in the show notes. But anyway, he did like a AR VR session that I sat in on, and he showed me this Libraries of Life app, which is really neat. And the way it works is that you print off triggers from the website, and I'll put the links to those in the show notes. So you print off the triggers and you use the Libraries of Life app, kind of like Erasmus, so you hover it over the picture, and then the picture like comes to life and turns 3D, so you can see it through the iPad. It pops up, and then it has like little videos and stuff that you can play about the, like, praying mantis is the one that I mostly remember. And so the praying mantis like pops up out of the page, and you can see it through the iPad, and then behind it you can push like a little informational video. I don't think they're YouTube. I think they're just videos through the Libraries of Life app. But we did it in our iSmackdown, and people were really impressed.
I tell you, I was on the opposing team for the iSmackdown, and I was really impressed.
Yeah, super cool. So if you're needing something to get you, like, snap your kids into attention, like, oh, I'm losing them today, just pull out those paper triggers and use your Libraries of Life app, and they will be right back with you. But yeah, definitely something to check out. Super easy to take care of. You just download the triggers, print them out. There's quite a few too. I don't remember how many, but yeah, put them in a center for kids to check out. Get them excited about learning about some insects or some animals, things like that.
Love it. Good idea.
Yeah, good one.
Okay, so my pick is MySimpleShow. Have you heard of that one before, Mindy?
No, this is new to me.
Okay, so it's MySimpleShow.com. I heard about this from Bev Burns, who used to work at AEA here in Iowa, and she's now principal in elementary school. It's a video creation tool that lets you create instructional, educational type videos in a Common Craft style. You know what Common Craft is?
No, Common Craft. What's that?
All right, I bet you've seen these videos, Mindy.
No.
They're not as popular as maybe they once were at a time, but there was a video where, people would cut out shapes or icons or pictures of things that they were talking about, and there would be a hand that comes in and pushes it on and then moves it to different parts of the screen, and in between scenes the hand would sweep things away. So, I mean, there's a lot of, teachers who have done videos in those style and try to recreate them with students. It's kind of a low-tech way of creating the video. But it's
not like stop motion, though?
Not stop motion, no. It's still live action.
Okay.
I'll send you a video and let you see what one looks like. But
okay, thanks.
Yeah, My Simple Show kind of mimics that style, except makes it a little bit easier because you don't have to first, draw out what it is you're talking about on paper and then cut it out and then put it on the screen, because they have a whole bunch of different like icons and pictures and things that you can drag onto your screen. They even have a virtual hand that will push it on there and clear the desktop workspace for you too. So I think it's kind of interesting.
Check that out, because I have no idea what you're talking about. I'll check it out.
It is completely free though, which is good.
Oh, I like that.
Keeps with our theme of being free. So they have some video examples as well. We'll put one of those in the show notes for you to take a look at. It's called MySimpleShow.com.
MySimpleShow. All right. So to round off the tech nuggets, new thing for me this summer, which I think Stacy Beamer showed us. I think she was taking a class, and her professor or her instructional leader, whatever class she was taking, used Recap, which is by Swivel. And I checked it out and I think it's pretty cool. So the way it works is that teachers create an account and they pose a question or a series of questions, and then the students respond to those questions through video. And it's open to Apple devices, Android devices, or you can use it online. And then teachers can watch those videos like through a daily reel, or you can pull them up and watch them straight through. And then you can stop the video and add feedback so students can read feedback from you. And then if you wanted to share that video, you can get a web link for it, or you can directly email it like to parents or something with like the ability to add a little note like, hey, this is what Johnny did today. Really great way for students to explain their thinking. Like some of the kids had like a whiteboard behind them and had drawn like written a math equation and then stood and explained why they worked the problem the way they did. And you just don't get the time as a teacher, I feel like, to talk as much as you want to talk to each student and have them explain their thinking. And I think recap is a great way to kind of get all of those verbal responses from your students, and then the ability to give them feedback too. So really great one. Check that one out.
Yeah, that is a good one. And I think when I saw Stacy using it recently, she did it at iPad U. Is that right?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, with all the teachers who took it as credit. They just did a daily reflection, and then she just sat at night and kind of ran through all of those reflections and gave feedback. So she really liked it. I think she thought it was pretty efficient. I don't know if it's something that you would do every day, because obviously it's going to take some time to sit and listen to all of those reflections. So you maybe want to be thoughtful about, if Grey's Anatomy is on that night, like, I don't have time to watch all these recap videos.
If what's on? Grey's Anatomy?
Grey's Anatomy?
I don't think I've ever watched one episode of that.
Well.
Am I missing out?
I guess you're not American.
The whole of America watches Grey's Anatomy? Okay.
No, but I'm just saying it would probably be kind of time consuming to sit, depending on how many students you have, and listen to 2-minute videos for each student. But it'd be a great way to assess your students, I think, or get formative assessment. It's always, everything has its time and place. So it's a good one.
Good. I like that one too. And I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but tell me, Mindy, is Recap free?
Yeah, it's free.
Oh, good. More free stuff.
More free stuff.
Yep. All right. That brings us to the end of the show. Are you superstitious, Mindy?
No.
Good. This is episode 13.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess that could have gone badly, but I think it went pretty well today.
Yeah. I agree. Pretty smooth today.
Pretty smooth. Oh, as he just bumps the microphone. So yeah, we very much enjoy hearing from you, the listeners, and we do get emails and tweets from people thanking us for doing the podcast and for giving us ideas for future podcasts. Please keep those coming. podcast@gwaea.org is our email address, and you can find Mindy on Twitter at Team Kearney. I am at Jonathan Wiley. If you enjoy the podcast, I know I haven't said this for a while, please leave us a review on iTunes, because we very much enjoy having those, but it also helps people discover it and think that this is something that they could listen to and enjoy too. So, until next time.
This has been the Edtech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.
For more information on today's episode, please visit dlgwaea.org/podcast.